Hello students, today's topic is on group dynamics. In this topic, we're going to have discuss about group, the nature of the group, the meaning of group dynamics, and then last, we're going to have discuss about the various theory that makes a basis for a group formation. And then lastly, we're going to have discuss the different stages of group formation. So we're going to have discussed first slide in front of you. The group is widely recognized as an important sociological and social psychological unit of analysis in the study of organizational behavior. So, in the study of organizational behavior, the group is considered as a sociological and social psychological unit of analysis. Why we have considered sociological and socio-psychological unit? Because sociological is anything that related to socialization, and psycho social psychological is basically involved a socialization with involvement of certain psychic level. Means that when individuals are socializing in a group, the two factors, first one is socialization process, and then that socialization process when backed by the individual psychic level, that their liking dislikings and other factors also involved there, then it will consider as a social psychological unit. Then second point, group dynamics are the interactions and forces among group members in social situations. So what exactly the group dynamic is? It's a kind of interactions and the forces among group members in social situations. So whenever in the social situations group members interacted with each other, then it will consider as a group dynamics. Then the third point that is on your screen, it's basically concerned with the eco generation, that is the current generation that are coming as a point that is basically related to the future generation, that is called the eco generation also. There is a concern about that generation. Is what is that concern is what is that concern? Concern is the individuals of this particular generation are not interested for the group affiliation. They want to achieve something on their own and individually only. Other than this, they are not much interested for group affiliation. They have high needs for individual achievement, and that is the concern for the researchers. So when you have a high need for individual achievement, then it's quite obvious that you as an individual not want to be a part of any group, because whenever you will be in a part of any group, the group identity is more important than an individual identity, right? Then the meaning of group and group dynamics. The term group can be defined in a number of different ways depending on the perspective that is taken. A comprehensive definition would say that if a group exists in an organization, its members, first point, are motivated to join. Second point, perceive the group as a unified unit of interacting people. Third, contribute in various amounts to the group processes. And third and the fourth one, reach agreements and have disagreements through various forms of interactions. It according to the particular contents on your screen right now is trying to explaining the overall concept of group, and that is the comprehensive definition of group is on your screen. And by these 4 points, the concept of group is basically detailing, right? What is that? The first point is what? the members, when interested to join any particular group, then that is the first criteria, interested or got motivated to join any group. Then second is the group is considered by them as a unified unit, as a single entity, not individual identities are there. Second one. Third is they have to contribute in a group on certain level. It depends, because in a group every individual have different kinds of caliber, and according to that caliber and interest and motivation, members are contributing towards that group efforts. Then when the groups within the groups, when the members are working for certain goal and activities, then it's quite obvious that each and everyone have certain disagreements with each other and agreement. So that during that interaction, this agreements and disagreements always be there, and the individual going to work like that in a group, right? So this is a comprehensive definition with 4 detailed points. Then group dynamic, according to the contents on your screen, I'm not going to have read each and every point, just go it and just see it. The major content of this particular screen is basically is concentrating on the concept of group dynamic, and that is given by Kurt Lewin, and that Kurt Lewin has considered as a father of group dynamics, and he gave this word, and that is popularized in 1930. And the one of the normative view of group dynamic is what? How a group should be organized and conducted. So whatever the activities are working within a group, for how we're going to have organized that and how we're going to have conduct that is a group dynamics. Then in the group dynamics, the important factors are what? Democratic leadership is involved. Democratic leadership is involved, and members participation is important, and overall corporation are stressed. So first one, democratic leadership, it means that the members should elect their leader. Then members participation is important, and then overall corporation within the group is compulsory, required. Then last one is the particular paragraph where different techniques within the group is uh, required for better group dynamics, right? Like role playing, brainstorming, focus groups, leaderless groups, group therapy, sensitivity training, team building, transactional analysis, and the Johari window are the traditionally equated with group dynamics. So these are the factors, or you can say techniques, that effectively involved in the group dynamics. And without using these kinds of techniques, the group dynamics is not going to work effectively. Right. Now, next one. In group dynamics, as are the more modern self-managed and virtual teams, an example of recent group technique is creative aberration, which is the search for clash of ideas rather than personal aberration. So this particular point is basically detailing us about the new technique that is used by the group dynamics for their self-managed and virtual teams. Actually, self-managed means when you have manage your team without any kind of other external factors, or virtual teams. Virtual teams in the when you are not in an you can say proximity with each other, and the members of the team are present globally or dispersed locations are there, and they are all connected each other with certain kind of technology and software. Then this creative aberration is a technique. Creative aberration is a technique where when someone in a team gave certain idea, then other team members are trying to oppose it. They are showing their resentment over it, and by doing this again again, then that idea get become more refined, and that is the motive of this creative aberration technique. So that's why it's written here, a clash of ideas rather than a personal aberration. So then group dynamics are viewed from the perspective of the internal nature of the groups, how they form, their structure and processes, and how they function and affect individual members, other groups, and the organization. So certain more points are here in this particular paragraph that are detailing about the group dynamics, like it's viewed as a perspective of first one, internal nature of group. So internally, what is the nature of the group? That that is the, you can say, concern of group dynamic. Then how a particular group formed, then their structure, what kind of structure is basically they are following in a particular group, then processes, then how they function, means that how they have divided their roles and duties and how they are performing, how their functions are working, then affect individual members, then what is this different functions, structure, and internal nature of the group is affecting individual members and other groups also, and the organization as a whole. So there's an overall concept about this particular paragraph. Then the dynamics of group formation, under which one question is on your screen, that is, why do individuals form into groups? So that is the major question, that why an individual form a group. So first is uh, based on a basic explaining affiliation theory, that is propinquity. Under this, it means that propinquity means when the members are have very in close proximity. It means that they are present within a one particular area, and due to that proximity, it's quite easier for them to be in contact, and due to that contact, they are able to make a group, right? Second is, another theory of group formation is classic theory of George Homans, based on activities, interactions, and sentiments. So these are the three factors that basically promotes to form a group. How? These three elements are directly related to one another, right? The more activities person share, the more numerous will be their interactions, and the stronger will be their sentiments, right? For example, if we will all have to work in a team and we have certain common project, then that is the activity. Due to that activity sharing project, because we all are working for the same project, then due to that activity, numerous will be their interactions. So once the activity is decided, then we're going to all have to talk about that particular activity, and that will create an interaction between the members. And once the interaction will create, it can be formal and informal. And when you're going to have interact with the people, then you can able to know their sentiments, right? And that sentiments means you can able to understand the team members liking, disliking. So like this, a group is going to form, and the most important thing in this particular three factors is the sentiments. The more you are going to have understand the sentiments of each other, the better for the team to work with each other in the any kind of condition, right? Then one more uh, classical theory is there, that is theory of group formation is classic balance given by Theodore Newcomb. That given by whom? Theodore Newcomb. This theory states that persons are attracted to one another on the basis of similar attitude toward commonly relevant objects and goals. So when what happens when in a particular organization, when you have two members X and Y, and if both have a similar attitude toward any kind of relevant object XYZ, any kind of object it can be. So when you have a similar attitude, it's quite obvious that that group is going to be formed, right? The attitude in the sense they both have a same kind of view about certain object, right? So when it is there, then it's quite obvious that that interaction creates a group. So that particular object or goal can be considered here as a value z, and in this graph you will see here that both are interacting x and y individual, and both have a common similar attitude toward z values, and that values can be of religion, politics, right? Then it can be a lifestyle of two individuals, about any kind of lifestyle they are sharing, same attitude toward it. Then marriages also, then work, organizational work culture also, that can be possible in that kind of environment also, group can be formed. And authority, if they have same authority, if they are sharing and they have similar attitudes towards that particular authority, right? Then another theory is of group dynamic is exchange theory, is based on reward cost outcomes of interaction. A minimum positive level rewards greater than cost of an outcome must exist in order for attraction or affiliation to take place. Rewards from interactions gratify needs, whereas cost in occur anxiety, frustration, embarrassment, or fatigueness. Propinquity, interaction, and common attitudes all have roles in exchange theory. So this exchange theory basically has an overall comprehensive concept regarding the group dynamics. First is what? That theory is based on reward cost outcome of interaction. So whenever the groups has formed and certain reward is there, reward in the sense that the particular individual is able to gratify their needs. So that is the reward. And while gratifying that needs, fulfilling that needs, if the individual has to pay a certain cost in the sense anxiety, if they have certain frustration, embarrassment or fatigue also, then they can ready to have being with that interaction in a group if reward is more, that if they are getting gratifying their needs in spite of this cost like anxiety and frustration, they are ready to continue that in a group. But in case that reward is less and cost is going to be more for them, then they will going to left that group or maybe adjourn that group also. In this theory, propinquity means proximity among the members, then interaction among the members, and the common attitude also have roles. So these are also factors that are basically responsible for making the group, right? Now the next is basis, or can see the stages on which you can summarize the group dynamics. Beside this classical, social psychology explanation of group formation, there are also some generally recognized identifiable stages of group development. These are first one, forming. This is the first stage when the group has formed. In this stage, what happens as an individual when you have joined any group, then you don't have much clarity about that group. You are normally in confusion, right? You don't have any clarity about the purpose of that group, you don't have a clarity about the structure of that group, you don't have a clarity about the task for which that group has formed, you don't have know the who is basically leading that group, that is the leadership of the group. So when you are in confusion normally in an initial stage, it's called an uncertainty also about that group. When group has formed, that is a forming stage, right? When every individual have uncertain and confused about the particular activities of the group, then the storming stage will come. This stage of development, as indicated by the term, is characterized by conflict and confrontation. So what happens when in the first stage, in the forming stage, when the people or the members have not that kind of clarity, then they being in touch with each other to clear that particular factors like purpose, structure, task. So in that case, certain members have not that kind of, you can say, level to match each other. So then confrontation will come, conflict will come. I already have an I've already have given you a detail about the positive conflict at that time also. That can be the things here. Positive conflict will be there, and through that, the people is trying to clear something about that group. So, in the usually emotionally charged atmosphere, there may be a considerable disagreement and conflict among the members about roles and duties. Right. So when something is not clear, and if you are not in a position to get in your exact roles and duties, then definitely the confrontation will be there. Because if someone other have got your role and duty, then you will be in confrontation with them. So that is the storming stage. Then norming stage will come. Finally, in this stage, the members begin to settle into cooperation and collaboration. They have we feeling with high cohesion, group identity, and camaraderie. So, what is the in norming stage? As per the word, norming means in this stage, most of the norms and rules have settled down for the group. So everyone have clear about their particular duties and roles, and uh, cooperation and collaboration has settled in the group, because then everyone have collaborating with each other and cooperating each other, and a we feeling like will come, not an individual feeling. Then they all have feel a group identity in themselves, and camaraderie means a trust is going to be formed among the group, right? After norming, then performing is there. When everything has cleared out, when that collaboration and cooperation is being is among the members, then what happens in this stage where the group is fully functioning and devoted to effectively accomplishing the task agreed on in the norming stage. So when in this norming stage everything has cleared about, everyone knows about their duties and roles, cooperation and collaboration is working, and all have feeling like a we in a like a member of a group, right? Then performance is going to be work. Then every member is fully functioning and devoting toward accomplishing the task of that particular group that they have decided in the norming stage, right? Then adjourning is there. This represents the end of the group, which in ongoing permanent group will never be reached. However, for project teams or task forces with a specific objective, once the objective is accomplished, the group will disband or have a new composition, and the stages will start over again. So adjourning stage is basically, first of all, is not for the groups those have ongoing and permanent one. It is only for those have basically involved in certain projects, right? Or task forces. Once the task is accomplished, when the particular project is accomplished, then it is going to adjourn. And then what happened? Was the objective accomplished? It is going to be adjourned. Then what happened? The group will disband, again dispersed. Sorry, they become again going to their respective concerned areas, and have a new composition and the stages will start over again. So again the stages is going to start from the following, storming and same thing, right? So this is all about the group dynamics and the concepts and different theories and the stages of group dynamics, right?